I think Jubilee stuff sounds more interesting. Are men falling behind? Male feminists versus female anti-feminists. Ooh, this is exactly up my alley. Let's go.
Can I
It's
ask
an
you a
hour
question,
long?
or ask
Hell
the group
yeah.
a question? There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think
Good,
leadership...
that's a good thing. Women should not be in positions of extreme leadership like presidents, et cetera, because we're too emotional.
I'm
Oh, this is gonna be fun. All right.
feeling a lot of emotion right now.
If you agree, step forward. Women have more privileges today than men.
It probably depends drastically on the woman and what the privilege in different dimensions. Women have different privileges than men. I'll say that. That's probably true.
Went back and forth on this one, thinking about the difference between more and different. I think women have distinctly different privileges than men have, but with this new feminist movement that is arising, more of the third, fourth wave, we are finding, I think, that women are placed and pedestalized above men in a lot of ways. There's affirmative action hiring and scholarships where women, sometimes even regardless of academic standing or achievement, are prioritized above men. But men also have different privileges that...
Well, is it is it really privileged to to be to have affirmative action target you? Is that a privilege? Because like the whole thing about affirmative action is it's to make up for like the opposite, right? The news is depressing, but there's hope for those who believe. There's hope. There is hope. The news is depressing and there's hope. I think there's hope in general. I think there's a lot of good in the world. There's a lot of beauty in the world. There's a lot of good people. And I believe that. Women have more privileges because men will bend their back for a woman. Again, that would be like in one dimension that women have certain privileges. But yeah, that's benevolent sexism, exactly. Unless you're saying that affirmative action is benevolent sexism, that I don't think so. Jubilee does a good job at making women look horrible. Well, I mean, so far the first person who's been talking doesn't seem that unreasonable.
that they get to access. I struggle to say more, but I think I do agree with the feminist movement now. There is more.
If you are born into this life with a vagina, you
don't agree with that.
inherently have 10 times more privilege than a man. From the time they are little, girls are always like doted on and you're so pretty and cute.
Very coddled.
They're coddled,
Yeah.
right? As they should be, you know? They're
Is it a privilege to be coddled in society? Like I don't know. Like I mean, like it's probably preferable to being treated like you're being treated worse, right? But like, is that really like a good thing? Does that privilege you? I don't know. In fact, it could probably be something that's harmful, like in the long run. And again, it's like benevolent sexism there as well. Is it a privilege to be the target of benevolent sexism? I don't think so. It's probably a frustrating thing.
we want that feminine, nurturing energy in them. You can kind of be a
I want nurturing energy in everyone. Everyone who's going to be taking care of anyone, at least.
degenerate woman and have a hot body and be a millionaire on OnlyFans. Men don't have that privilege. Now, women don't have to like work to get a guy.
There are less male OnlyFans stars. That's okay. That's probably true. That's definitely true. So, okay. Is being treated like a purse dog privilege? No, I don't think so. A purse dog? I don't think so. I don't know actually what you mean by purse dog.
They're just hot, and then guys come to them and spend their resources on them. A man has to prove himself. He has to build a body. He has to make money. He has to build influence. He has to become a protector, a provider. Women just have that naturally by just having a vagina, as
That's
I said.
why it's frustrating, because the feminist
I don't know if they
movement
just have
has
that.
been all about women acting like they don't have rights and acting like they have it pretty hard in the modern day world. I can't think of a single thing that I don't have that a guy has, or
that
you
they
know,
only have.
like,
I would say the
that
one
they
thing I
only
would
have.
say is the safety thing. That's the only thing that I would say is that women are disadvantaged from. By nature, women are not as physically strong. I mean, you're physically strong, but as physically strong.
I'll take it.
Don't like like MRAs always argue that like that men like, or point out that like men are way more likely to be the victim of violent crime. So like even that like just being like physically strong doesn't protect you from like being majority or being more likely to be targeted. And like no matter how like physically strong you are, like that's not that it's still bad. The dogs are usually wealthy people, women keeping their purses. They're pampered but have no choices in life. A caged bird is a different. Yeah. Okay, I hear you. Yeah. So I don't think that's a privilege. I think that's a pretty bad situation to be in. Especially like as an entire gender, you know.
And if you're walking down a dark alley as
all right, it's gonna be harder for me to pause if someone start playing this game. So
right?
I'm gonna talk over them. I'm gonna talk over these women.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about like the judicial system when it comes to, let's say, domestic dispute. If a woman calls the police, they automatically show up, arrest the man. This the Duluth model, I think is how you pronounce it. And that's already in place. It's not necessarily like a right or anything, but it's certainly in all of the police departments. Is if feminism is all about equality, why would you automatically arrest a man?
Well, police officers aren't fucking feminists, like mostly, right? Like, wait.
When a woman can say Jane Doe and she doesn't have to put her name out there, what skin in the game is there?
Like it sounds like sexism from the police officers, which like I agree, cops are probably sexist.
Domestic violence within the relationship with children involved, unfortunately, and the woman attacked the man in front of the child, and he's still. I know 2 instances personally, and he's still fighting to get the child back. That's from the Me Too movement. Congratulations, you guys got that.
It kind of invalidates the women who do come forward and who
crazy.
have faced rape and sexual assault and all of that, because then it kind of turned into a Twitter hashtag.
That's correct.
Where women were like, oh, you know what, I'm going to join. Like, this seems fun. Like,
for clout.
it's not fun.
I think it's a mixed bag. I don't think the Me Too movement was inherently harmful. It's the Me Too movement when you couple it with something like believe all women. That's when it becomes.
Okay, I have to pause here.
Of
the slogan, by the way, was never believe all women. That was never the slogan. It was always like believe women or believe victims. But the all was added from like mostly like bad faith people saying like, oh, we shouldn't believe all women, like we shouldn't believe all stories, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, like especially legally, yeah, like we should be skeptical of like innocent until proven guilty. You know, I'm hell yeah, let's go. But like that doesn't mean that like we shouldn't like hear people out and like hear people's stories and take them seriously, which is what like the Believe Women hashtag was really all about. Is like taking allegations seriously and taking them into consideration, not about just like convicting men whenever someone points their finger at them. Like that was never what anyone was advocating for. But okay.
Women who aren't really victims.
The prompt is, do women have more privileges? We have privileges simply by virtue of being women. We have privileges with affirmative action. We have privileges in family court.
And again, oh sorry, affirmative action. I don't agree with framing affirmative action as a privilege. Like affirmative action is around because of a lack of privilege. Like it's literally, it exists in spite of there being particular dimensions where women weren't privileged and aren't privileged. Otherwise, you wouldn't need affirmative action. Like that's the whole. Affirmative action is I can't get behind like qualifying that as a privilege. I can't see it that way. Believe and investigate. Exactly. Trust and verify. You know, that kind of thing. It seems preferable to the old solution where the police didn't do anything and treated the wife as defective property. Yeah, it's certainly better than that. I mean, it's still problematic if like that's what's happening. I don't even know if that's actually like the way they've kind of described it. I don't even know if that's actually like in practice what's really happening. So, but if it was, like it would be better than what you're describing, and it would still be not a good thing. I am not surprised to hear that, Yasmin, based on what she said so far. That doesn't shock me very much, to be completely honest. Sorry, I gotta. Okay. All right, I'm gonna hit play.
Being believed and forgiven. That's something that should be acknowledged.
That's correct.
Can I have the disagreeer step forward?
I appreciated the distinction of more versus different privileges. You can't just use a broad brush and paint the entire debate and say, all right, well, this is men have more than women, that's it. Like, women that must inherently then have no privileges. That's not how it works. And that's where we start to get into the idea of like intersectionality, where another
Based.
woman who had a different experience, if it was a trans woman, if it was a woman of color, if it was
But
a woman
I don't
who
think
was,
we're including trans women.
Well,
into
you should.
feminism.
Sorry.
and I think we
You're
definitely
not.
should.
No, she's saying she doesn't.
I
When she
think
says
that
we,
trans
she's
women
including
should
a lot
not
of
be
people
part
there.
of the feminist movement because
No, you're
a
good,
man,
Tom.
just because they, wake up and
Yeah,
say
you
they
have
want
been
to be
busy.
a woman one day, could come in and then suddenly know what it's like to have a period or know what it's like to have a child. It's anything from men replacing women in sports to men replacing women on podcasts during Women's Month and when we're talking about women's health, or you've even got biological men who think they're women going to the White House
Jesus.
speaking on behalf of all women.
I do have a question for you based on the prompt, though, because you've lived in both.
It was a trans man, they call him out? Oh, boy.
I'm curious, when you transitioned to male and people started perceiving you as male, like most people did today, what privileges changed for you, or what did you see enter your life that you didn't have before?
Yeah, and that's sort of where a lot of my beliefs in feminism do lie, is because being out into the world as a gay woman was the way I was seen. Men treated me definitely not nearly as well as they did. I was bullied in school. I had people call me slurs, and it seemed like it was because I was threatening to like the male structure that we are in, where it's like male and female. Because I was a female who liked females, I was somehow infringing on that.
I think I'm reviewing your modern day debate later.
Things
Yo, I
change
love
naturally
that.
When you socially
That'd be
transition
awesome,
and are
Tom.
perceived
I
in a different way.
I would
When I
I'd love
transitioned
to
from
hop on and talk about
being
it at some
perceived as
point
female to the world
afterwards.
to just pretty much passing or blending full time as male, was that I got a lot more respect from other men. People listened to
I
me,
appreciate
took me
that.
seriously. In a social passing setting, people aren't going to harass women who are around me if I'm walking with them at night, which is just a benefit I never thought about.
With caveat, actually. So I say that, yes, there are some privileges that women have that men don't, but also there's privileges that men have that women don't. I don't think women are more privileged in our society, because I could get a woman pregnant and I could just run away.
They can get you
Well, they
for
can
child
get you for
support.
child support, which they
But are you
do.
saying
Oh,
she
you
can't run
can
away?
go to
Really?
jail.
Are you saying
They could
she
take
can't
your
run away
money.
from the pregnancy?
But you
yeah.
could
But
actually
yes.
physically leave.
Leave.
I
I
know
can
what you're
physically
saying.
leave. At the end of the day, I don't see women having more privileges than men, because we don't have the same. There's no way to objectively measure it.
Well, and then the
kinda
scenario
agree
that
with
you
that.
pointed out, I mean, if a
I
woman was
do agree. I
pregnant,
definitely agree with
she
that.
wouldn't be able to get an abortion in most
In some
parts
states,
of the
In mo-
country.
yes. In some states,
That's
no.
That's a
absolutely
major
true as well.
disadvantage.
You can't get an
Corner case.
abortion, but children can go get a gender change at 12 with a
Feels
parent
like you're
at
very
15
fixated on that.
without consent.
That's not
That is
true.
not true.
I
That is
didn't-
not
I
true.
know the laws as well. Have been
I
studied.
went through this.
I know, in some states you can, and in Thailand you can go at 16 and get your everything cut off.
Guys, it's
That is-
less than 5%.
I know.
I
It's
know.
such a
doesn't
small.
matter.
It's such a small
it doesn't
subset
matter.
of the
Let's
But you
be
population.
fair.
can't. But you can't say that about. It does matter though. When you have a child, you're not a
That's
parent
between
yet.
the parent and the child.
Dude,
all
can I ask
True,
you a
and the
question,
doctor.
Or ask the group a question? There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think
Good, and
leadership.
that's a good thing.
I know
Oh
it's,
my God.
it's
Well,
he
weird
was
coming
talking
from
to
me,
me.
but I do want to know, it doesn't bum you out that it's less likely for a woman to become president?
I don't feel bummed out because I know that if I want to pursue something that I want to do, I have every capability to do it in this country.
I don't feel bummed out. Women should not be in positions of extreme leadership like presidents, et cetera,
Hey,
et cetera,
Phantom.
because we're too emotional.
I'm feeling a lot of
too.
emotion
Men
right
can be
now.
impulsive.
Apparently.
I'm not saying that men can't be
yeah,
emotional.
Like we had a
Men are
president.
more
We had a
logical.
president who would literally just
And now
go
we
on
have a
Twitter
president whose
every
brain
day,
doesn't
every
work.
second.
Wait, one person so she can hear it.
To be logical and to be sound is not something defined by gender. It's just something defined by your own
The
psychology.
left and
Wasn't
right
like
brain,
every almost every war in history was started by a
It's
man.
not
Come on,
false.
man.
It
Come
is
on.
not
Really?
false.
Really?
Your question about leadership, I think, is a very poignant question, because a lot of people are asking that. Why don't we see more female presidents? Why don't we see more female CEOs or Fortune 500 companies? And again, it goes back to those gender differences. There will be women who will be exceptions to the generalized rule of what it means to be feminine, and those women you will see.
Okay, so even in like a completely like equitable world, we might still see some disparities. I'm totally willing to concede that. We're not there. We're just definitely not there yet, you know? Like we're nowhere near that. So I don't think that's I just don't buy into it. Like 90% of like Fortune 500 CEOs are white cis men, and they make about 30% of our country. So and it's there's no way that's just like the natural order of things. Okay, like that's just, especially not with the particular history that we have. Like that's just like completely unbelievable. So anyway,
succeed in extreme leadership. But we should also discuss what the conditions of extreme leadership are. We're talking 80-hour work weeks, subscribing yourself to your career and nothing else.
Forgoing family and children.
That psychologically and biologically, women tend to...
All right, I can look at chat for now. It'd be sort of awesome that guy went to this, some women don't have privileges because the red pill says they're inferior type of argument. That would be kind of funny. Women are more emotional. Anecdotes win. Wars all started by yeah, exactly. I said that already. Exactly. Trojan War was started because of a woman. Was it? Was there because like over a woman or because of a woman? Like what do you mean by that? I don't know anything about. Because she gave it. What do you even? I don't know anything about the Trojan War, but that sounds like a reductive view about what happened there. But I don't know. Like I'm sure that tons of wars have been started over women. Wars have been started over women's perceived virginity, for example, which is another disgusting thing about history. But that's neither here nor there, right?
To lean in the direction of not making those choices for themselves, while men are highly competitive.
It was over a woman. Yeah, that's the difference,
right?
Right?
Put in that time and take extreme measures to gain career status.
Exactly.
There's a huge difference. There's a huge difference between a war being started over a woman and a war being started because of a woman, I think, or like by a woman. You know, like that's a very, very different sentiment. Helm of Troy, a woman that launched 1,000 ships, ancient Greek. What did she do? I don't know. I really don't know much about. My history is very spotty. I have like really strong understandings of like certain things, and then a lot of gaps. Something I want to improve on. So we'll like learn some history eventually on my stream. I want to learn so much. The men were being emotional. Exactly. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. What we're actually talking about is men being emotional and starting wars, like based on their frustrations with things happening around women. Sure. Helen was basically an object in that war. She was a reward. Yeah, exactly.
And
Yes,
that's what feminism
But we
is
do,
about. It's
but
about
we already
having-
have that choice.
We
If
do have that
I want to go
But
own
it's
my
being-
own company, I
it's being
can.
restricted.
Like I said in the beginning.
Wow, you can own your own
all
company?
agree
That's awesome.
That the beginning of feminism
Feminism's
was
done then.
going in the right
Humanizing
direction.
women,
It
right.
was humanizing women. It was making them equal to men. It was giving us the same opportunities so that we can go vote, so that I can go get a job, so that I can drive a car. Like
She can
there's
run for
other
president if she
countries
wants.
that I know that
She's right that like early stage feminism was about getting those like more tangible like rights, and that like modern feminism is a little bit more cultural, or a lot more cultural, and like acknowledging like forces that are either reinforced through like subtly through laws, or reinforced through like social expectations and like social pressures. So. Like, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think we should be trying to push against those social pressures. But I feel like the argument that's been made on this anti-feminist side is that like, you and John had a nice talk in Discord. That's good. I imagine you guys probably get along actually. That'll be interesting. Sorry. Yeah, I feel that the perspective is kind of coming from like a natural order like view. You know. By the way. We got a decent amount of people watching right now. Click that like button, please. It's so easy. It takes like half a second. You just click, and then it's liked, and then that little like number goes up. And first of all, it makes me feel good. It gives me some dopamine. Like you can literally create happy chemicals in my brain by clicking a button. How cool is that? That's super easy. And also, it'll make my streams more popular, which will mean the next time you come here, there will be more people who you can argue with, more people you can talk to, more people I can talk to, more people I can argue with, and more content for all of you. And so, you know, just click the damn button. It's so easy.
that we weren't talking about other countries, but if you want to talk about feminism, go protect the women who get beat up for driving a car in other countries.
That's bad too. They're both bad. Two things can be bad. You can have two things be bad at once. It's bad that some countries don't allow women to drive, and it's bad that other countries have social pressures that put women in disadvantaged positions in other ways. Like, okay. All wars are just a battle for who's perceived to have the biggest dick. Yeah, I guess so.
Men are falling behind in society.
This is kind of true. Yeah, I can vibe with this one.
I just think, I mean, we have amazing.
Okay, you don't click it then, Program and see. That's true.
Thank
to
you.
be on this
You
panel
barely
with
know.
If you've already pressed the like button, don't click it again. don't unlike. Definitely don't do that. But I see lots of you liked. I appreciate that a lot.
you to see this masculine energy. However, I know that men are not able to be men anymore because
Bullshit,
of the
though.
feminists.
Love being a man.
Modern feminist propaganda. I coach men in my practice, and they tell me, like, I don't even know what I can do on a date anymore. Can I ask a woman out? Am I gonna get in trouble for this now? Like,
No. You can ask women out. I give you, as a male feminist, I give you my permission to ask women out if you want to. I don't think you're not allowed to do that. There we go.
I really like her. I kind of want to put my hand around her waist, but maybe that's gonna, I'm gonna be all over social media, this kind of thing. And I think men don't have the balls anymore to just stand up and be a man, be dangerous, be fierce.
I want to respond to a lot of what
Respond.
you said.
Please.
Does anybody else want?
You make a really interesting
For-
point.
for
However, I
Program
feel
C.
like a lot of the reasons why men
I'm pretty sure the data, I know you're trolling. Yeah, men ask women out all the time. All the time. And it's fine. You just can't ask them out repeatedly if they say no, or make a bunch of sexual comments around them, or put your arm around their waist if you haven't even, like, if this is your first time talking to them. No, you probably shouldn't do that. Be dangerous. Yeah, like make women more uncomfortable. Like, what? There are some women who do want that. I acknowledge that. I do. But I don't care. Like, I just don't care. I'm not going to encourage men to do behaviors that are going to make, like, more women on average like uncomfortable or feel like in danger in some cases, like, for the sake of the women who actually want those men to do those things. Like, I'm sorry. Like, having worked at multiple very large companies, it's nowhere near as scary as all these people claim it is. Yeah, totally. It's like we can't even speak anymore. I can't say anything these days. Yeah, I know.
can't actively express masculinity in a positive way is because of the patriarchal structures that we have. Part of where I'm
True.
coming from with this is I'm trans. So I was born female. Now I present as
Oh, they're
male,
gonna hate
now
that.
socially and medically transitioned at 18.
Okay.
The feminist movement is what helped me feel empowered enough to be who I am and
Okay.
be a man.
And no disrespect to your process. I know it's a very strenuous thing that you go through, but I see a woman still. I feel feminine energy from you.
That's all.
People feel feminine energy from me, okay? All the time. I get constantly shit on for people feeling feminine energy from me, and I own it. All right, I got the best of both worlds. I put the brain and the brawn together, you know. But like, this person, did she know that he was trans before that moment? She was just like immediately, like, if she didn't know that, that's kind of funny, the way she reacted to it. He should talk about her surgery. She looks like a mess. Oof. Plenty of men ask women out. A man just hasn't asked you ugly house yet. Maybe.
All right. I
And
totally
so when you
respect
say
that.
you're a
I
man,
don't
then
respect
it's like,
it.
I don't see that.
The way I think about it is more
Too bad.
like about individual choice and individual freedom. And if I want to say that I have feminine energy and people view me as masculine or vice versa, then that's their problem. That's not my problem. And for me, that's
Sure.
what feminism is about giving people the choice to act in accordance with however the hell they want to.
But
So
that's
true.
a very dangerous
Feminism
society.
That's
to
not how
say-
feminism started, though. Yeah, we went from, wanting equal rights for women and equality for women, and now it's
Humanizing
kind of
women, right.
humanizing women,
Yes.
making it to where I think we all agree, women now are equal to men. And
On paper, for sure. And wait. Hang on, let's see. Talk about, was it you I called metrosexual the other day? Yeah, it was. Yeah, which is fine. Because I mentioned that I'm what I meme about it as being a gay passing straight man, which is a fun area to be in. I think. I don't know. I thrive here. It's natural to be feminine as a guy, but the thing is, testosterone wins in the end unless you do something. I think it kind of depends on what you view as like masculine and feminine. Like when people talk about like the what is a woman and the circular definition of like what's a woman, I think the circular definition that I see in terms of femininity and masculinity. That like, what is masculine? It's traits that are largely associated with men. What is femininity? It's traits that are largely associated with women. And this becomes circular. Like it's just I mean I could break the circle in similar ways to how I can break the other one, but in the same way it's going to be contextual based on like time and place and the aggregate behaviors of men and women in that context and like how gendered it is. And yeah, so sissy coder. Yeah, labor job, LOL labor jobs, true.
And with like third and fourth wave feminism, especially fourth wave feminism, it's kind of turned into individuality, like you said.
It doesn't take a man to tell me how to be a man. It doesn't take a woman either. I can define myself as a man how I want to.
What a king! What a king!
To be like, you're not a man unless you do this. I also don't need a woman to come up and be like, you're not a real man if you don't do this. And it's the same with feminism.
Tom says traits associated with male and female. I don't know. I think it is that the definition? I actually hang on. What's the definition of masculinity? Qualities or attributes. I mean, this is like the Google. This is from Oxford. Like qualities or attributes regarded as characteristic of men or boys. So like not just like not male. At least not according to Oxford. But I mean, like you can obviously have your own definition. But gender roles are largely defined culturally, for sure. 1700s men were fabulous with their high heels and powdered wigs. Yeah, and we love that for them. Bring it back. More powdered wigs, please. Let's go. Or a guy babysit my kids. You wouldn't let a woman mechanic fix your car? That's silly. I know a lot of women who could probably like work on your car much better than I could. I would trust them more than I would trust me. Gender is your expertise. I know you talk a lot about gender, and I agree with a lot of your takes on gender. But in this case, I tend to I like formal definitions. This might be something we could talk about sometime. But I tend to, and maybe it's like as like an educator, or I see myself as an educator sometimes. So I'm like as like a medium between like knowledge and information and other people like receiving that information. And I don't want to I don't like the idea of me inventing definitions, you know. I think people know what a trans woman is and what a cis woman is. They are playing dumb. True. There's quite a few YouTube channels devoted to women fixing cars. I believe that as well.
I'm not going to tell you how to be a woman. I don't think another woman should tell you how to be a woman either.
So what would you tell kids?
Yeah, like you have a daughter. Do you really want to be guided by the ambiguous, define yourself as however you want to define yourself?
Yes.
And for her mind
yes,
to be
he probably wants his daughter to be able to identify how she wants, yeah.
Women who turn themselves into men and then turn themselves back and say there's a
God bless America. Amen, brother.
The root of the problem wasn't the gender, it was everything else.
There's actually
slow down,
very
I
low
feel like
rates of detransitioning, but that's neither here nor there.
That's also a minority of the population.
Feels like you're bundling a lot of ideas, which makes it hard to respond. But
well, because there's so much data to support
Can you repeat what's the main question?
Do you want your daughter's mind to be formed and shaped by a society that tells her it's okay to be masculine and to be a man, and that she doesn't need a man, and that
Fanta, are you talking about Greg's video about me and comparing our looks or whatever? He's funny. I know you're trolling program and see. Yeah, it's I was laughing about that. I don't know. I like it. I like it when Greg makes content about me. It's cute.
That it's better off for her to be alone and put her career first and not have children.
Okay. It's more likely than not that she'll probably follow a more conventional path. If my daughter grows up and she wants to...
Oh, you were joking about not letting a woman mechanic fix a car. Okay, I see.
For whatever reason is experiencing gender dysphoria, like we would navigate that together. But that, to me, it doesn't scare me. And I would all the more want to live in a world that...
I feel like that's sad. Because because my son, I encourage him. I say, you are to be, and I really don't care the backlash. You're supposed to be attracted to women. And I tell him,
that's fucked. And I ask what if he's not? What if he's just not? Sorry, lady.
Life for transgender individuals, and my son's African American as well, is very
what's your favorite anime? I don't know. Death Note's pretty good.
I don't know if we can swear. I'm sorry.
I don't watch a lot of anime, to be honest.
Very hard. Do you know this?
I watched some JoJo. That was pretty solid.
Putting pressure on your son or putting pressure on my daughter to not.
I just tell them.
Okay, but to not be their true self, if that's truly how they feel, it feels like that would be.
No, they're not their true self.
That's this
Thank you.
That's this way. It's
your opinion that it's not their true self. And yet if they disagree with you, that's.
I can identify. I can be whatever I want. If I want to say, I'm Beyonce today. I can now just be Beyonce,
But do you
right?
actually believe?
I'm Beyonce gender.
I
I see.
Like, I don't think you
Can we
believe
talk
that
about
people
the prompt?
genuinely
Yeah,
love.
let's roll back.
The
to
prompt's
that.
about
here's
men
the other,
falling behind.
Here's the other thing. Men are falling behind. Is it because of feminism, or is there socioeconomic factors that we're not looking at?
Well, how do we
Because,
define
well, no.
falling behind?
Let's
Yeah,
look,
what do you see as falling behind?
What's falling behind? So people in America, not just men, everybody is getting poor. This has nothing to do with
Well, that's
feminism.
not
Well, we're not
true.
getting
No,
poor.
That's a mental state.
No.
Being
That's
poor is a mental
mentality.
state. Oh yeah, I see.
I'm not getting
behind
that.
Well,
ours.
you can blame
Oh,
repression
true.
for that.
Pokemon.
Okay,
Yeah,
back
The other
to
thing
the
is,
Pokemon.
what do
Pardon
you
me.
define as
My number one
masculinity?
anime.
It can be subjective
Tell
from
us,
culture to culture.
what do you define
I
masculinity
think masculinity
as?
is whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be
True.
this objective
How-
thing where it's
Hell
like,
yeah.
oh, you're masculine, you're
How
not.
is
Like,
it, can it,
so it could be different from our society to another society. And actually, in some countries, like men who don't provide for their families or are not the sole provider are not seen
but
as
are we talking
masculine.
about other countries or are we talking about the
But
U.S.?
even
right
here,
now?
actually, even here, there are people who will say that's demasculating for a man to make less money than his wife.
I appreciate everything everyone's saying. I do want to
Make a
talk
man
about the
gender.
prompt.
I don't
When
know if I
heard
already
the
laughed at
prompt
that,
and
but
I
it's
heard
funny.
that, I thought about men falling behind. I thought more like mental health, like suicide is more common
Oh,
with
we're gonna
men.
go here.
No,
Love
but it's
this.
true.
What the
It's
fuck?
like men
Dude.
commit suicide.
What was that? Who just said? Oh, we're gonna go here. We're gonna go to like, because the guy mentioned male suicide, which, by the way, I actually have a lot to say about the gender paradox in suicide, where like women engage in more suicidal behaviors and men end up actually like committing suicide more. There's a lot of people dismiss this as like, oh well, the women just want attention. The women don't actually want to die. If they really wanted to die, then they would have actually killed themselves. And that was like a super fucking sociopathic thing to say, like just on its face. Yeah, the problem I usually have when people bring that up, it's usually like red pillars bring it up. So I'm surprised to hear the anti-feminists reacting the way they just did. Usually the red pillars are using it to argue that like men have it so much worse in society because of feminism or whatever. But like it doesn't actually really suggest that when you note it, when you acknowledge that like the that men or that women engage in more suicidal behaviors. But Tom's just another area men are better than women. Exactly, Tom. So true. Jesus. Yeah.
It's kind of cop out. Like, I'm not saying mental health isn't an issue. That it is an issue, and obviously a lot of men are experiencing a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Have you heard like the term death of despair?
Men are committing suicide more. Men are dying from alcohol-related illnesses more.
Men are definitely dying from
drug
suicide more
abuse and drug
than women. That's certainly
and
true.
that's an
regardless of the
society.
suicidal
and then
behavior.
educational gaps.
No, there's no denying that. Like, young men are abandoning colleges at a rapid
Yeah, it's a
rate.
lot of pressure to be a man.
They're also
Like,
far lonelier than women are right now. And
Yeah,
not
women are the
socially
least
Hold on,
happiest.
can I finish my point? Sorry. I'm like, don't let me lose my train of thought. They're abandoning colleges. Women make up, they enroll in college at a 60% rate. Women are earning more than men nowadays.
I don't think
right?
that's true.
So,
That's
Yeah,
not true.
well, no, that is true.
hold on.
We can get to the wage gap.
It's
If
about
that-
enrollment.
that
So are
would be,
they
like, brand new.
having other
There's no way
jobs?
that's
Yeah,
true.
probably. But I'm saying, like, men are not going to these institutions. Why?
When you're saying lack of enrollment, there's more entrepreneurials in the entrepreneurial space than ever before in history. So I believe a lot of people are opting out of college, as we had, to pursue their ventures. So that could be part of the reason why the enrollment has declined.
Can I just go back to a point that you said really quick?
Yeah,
where
go
you
ahead.
talked about
Yeah.
like the mental health of men and how
Me?
like the stigmatization
film.
of men addressing their mental health.
Yeah.
What system are we in that makes it so that men have this big stigma around our mental health where we can't talk about it and the suicide rate goes
So
up?
I'll
We
tell-
are in a patriarchal system.
Hold on, let me
That
tell you.
is
Let me
the-
tell you.
those
So
are-
the
those are
way
the-
Yeah, like all these red
Very-
pillars are yelling at men
That's
or saying they're not. They
toxic
shouldn't be talking about their feelings, and it's toxic masculinity. It is.
You to let the other person finish the point, and then of course you can take it forward, but let them talk.
True.
Just
Same
real quick,
thing.
the systemic structures we are in
Yes.
are patriarchy.
This is toxic
That
femininity.
is what has caused men to have this massive
Oh, brother.
stigma around mental health,
Sure.
where we don't feel empowered to reach out. Men tend to not go to therapy. That leads to suicide. That leads to all of these big things. That's not caused by feminism. That was happening well before the
So,
feminist movement
hold on.
came into these
Let
new
him finish.
waves.
There's a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, and economists, professors, all these people coming out saying that the actual psychology department is feminist.
Pergamon C, don't say
I know,
that.
I
No,
know.
I'm processing what you're saying.
The psychology
It's weird, but the
department?
way that everything's
Please don't. We love
processed
you,
is
buddy.
for women. So women
Fine,
and
my
men
team surrendered. I'll
process
surrender too.
information differently. men are like this in their brain, women are, it's all over, and like, what the hell does that mean?
Well, it's
it
left
means
brain, right
that
brain.
when you process like men need to solve the problem.
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Problem solved.
Process the emotion.
Women are emotional.
React on emotion.
Yeah, that's it.
But so women have a tendency, they do better with talk therapy. That doesn't always work for men. Men do better when they are kind of working with a coach or somebody that's going to be like, this is what you have to do, and then come
like
back
massive
see how
action
you did.
steps.
That's why mentors work. That's why men need.
He had a thought though. Can we let him finish his thought?
The same problems with.
I can I mean, I think what she was saying there, I don't necessarily disagree with that. That like men might like the different kinds of therapies that men and women like might benefit from could also be different. Like that's fine. But it's still good.
With the military, a lot of the suicide rate, even though there is therapy services, they're actually actively discouraged, and it's because of this masculine energy in the military, because it is still, even to this day, a very ultra masculine institution. And there's these negative energies saying like, hey, no, you shouldn't like go talk. That's what these fucking do.
But that's
masculinity.
toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Well, actually,
but
that's not patriarchy.
it comes from a
There's
place
a difference.
it comes from a place where it's like, oh, that's not what men do. Just suck it up and push on. And that's why a lot of these guys end up killing themselves.
But what branch were you in?
True.
Can I ask?
I was in the Army.
Okay. So you're an athlete, correct? And in the military, what is in the military that makes everything work within the military? It's a structure, right?
Yes, it's a structure.
It's a system, right? Who runs?
Women earn more when they do 9 to 5 and only yes, working. I agree. If women work 2 jobs, they will earn more than someone who's not working 2 jobs.
The military. Who is at the very top of the command?
Oh, the commander-in-chief, the
Correct.
president of the United States.
Men.
But I'm making a point here. So there's one person at the very top. Even if you take the commander-in-chief away, there's your general, right? Then there's lieutenant general, there's corporal, and I forget don't hate me, there's all those privates, etc. There's a system. One person is at the top of that system, and he has supporting members underneath him, all the way down to private. And that's what patriarchy was, quote, patriarchy was designed. It's a system of one person taking a leadership position, and they make decisions for the greater good, utilitarianism of all, meaning
I think patriarchy is like a male-centric, male perspective-centric society. Like that the male's perspectives are like elevated and tend to be like in charge more. I think that's something. So I think I'm paraphrasing the Wikipedia definition, which I like. Have I seen those VA commercials about making sure you get a gun box so you don't end it all? Jesus, no. But that's horror. That's some dystopian shit. Ryan, think about it. Playing Modern Warfare with extreme graphics and physics. Sign me up. Yeah, true. Yeah, put me in the army, bro. She's confusing patriarchy and hierarchy. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that is just she was kind of like broadly defining like any sort of hierarchy, I guess.
family unit.
That's not really what patriarchy
and actually that's
it
that's
is.
A very,
I looked up the definition.
That's actually a very
I literally looked it up yesterday.
I'm looking it up right now. Okay. Patriarchy is a social system in which positions of dominance and privilege are primarily held by men. Okay. Yeah. A social system in which positions of dominance and privilege are primarily held by men. Okay. Yeah, so that's not really what she said, right? The use of patriarchy in socialism doesn't mean there's one guy at the top directing all other men. True. She discovered patriarchy yesterday and looked it up in the dictionary. Even the dictionary definition, the Oxford, a system of society or government in which the father or eldest male is the head of the family and descent is traced through the male line. Yeah, even that, it's like, yeah, or a system of society or government in which men hold the power and women are largely excluded from it. It's definitely historically that. It's obviously less so now, but it's still, in practice, is largely that. Yeah, anyway.
I feel like I really need the male feminists also to respond because I feel like they've spoken 20%. Once they're done with their thought, feel free to interrupt, but let them finish a sentence.
Okay, I want to talk. I'm going to talk. Okay, I do think men are falling behind. I feel like the world is just changing in a way where men don't have like a natural place to fit in, or it's not as intuitive as it used to be. And I think men are alone.
True, Grumpy Jennings.
Word loneliness, and that does feel true. I just don't think that feminism did that. I just think like the world is changing.
What you said really resonated with me when we define falling behind. What I think about
that's
men
fair, Tom.
is that high suicide rate, that likeliness and proclivity towards violence and aggression. I think about loneliness and not being in relationships with
it's not
which
fair,
young men are struggling with a lot right now. And where I feel finding common ground and feminism does get right in a sense is that we should expand our horizons as far as how we view masculinity. Men should be able to cry, they should be able to be vulnerable.
True,
and that's
see, I like
something
her.
that we need to access.
She's an anti-feminist?
Also, these men who are feeling disillusioned with the world right now, they are seeking out male figures. We've seen, the rise of the Jordan Petersons or some of the personalities at the Daily Wire or the Andrew Tates. They are seeking out somebody who's telling them, I want you to access those masculine traits and harness them in a way. I would say Jordan Peterson's probably a more healthy role model for men than, say, an Andrew Tate, but men are going towards these more aggressive, masculinized traits and seeking out men that are trying to harness that for them.
Yeah.
I thought you made a really great point that I totally agree with, where
I'll look that
men
up, Alex.
are looking for these role models of how to embody masculinity because we are falling behind and a lot of people don't know how to act. What's really important and what I've seen, at least in my experience, like feminism bring up is the idea of like Justin Baldoni doing his talk about being man enough for your woman, being man enough to be emotional, being man enough to support children. That's the type of manliness and masculinity I think needs to be embodied so that men can catch up and feel like there's a place for them. That's something that we need to focus on, is making sure that people know how to embody masculinity in a way that's going to be beneficial for everyone.
Women should also be drafted into the military.
I think ideally no one should. But that's a hard one. I don't have a good answer for this one.
Might as well be drafted, baby. That's it.
Yeah. I believe rights come with responsibilities, and we are all responsible individuals. Granted, I'm glad we live in a society where we haven't had the draft since, I think, Vietnam. Vietnam. I think Vietnam.
50 years ago.
I do think that maybe we should relook at the draft and as other options, not just military service. So I was in the active duty military, and I was also in the National Guard, and I've fought wildfires and I've done crowd control. I've done a lot of other things. If you want the same rights, you have to have the same responsibilities, and I think that's just universal based on what you can do and your abilities.
This was a very difficult one for me to parse through because I remember when I was getting my birth certificate changed, and it was like, all right, time to register for selective service, and I was like, oh God, I have to make this decision now to register.
You don't have a choice.
I know. So I was like, all right, cool. I will go through with finishing all this legal stuff up and register. And I think, like you said, there's lots of other responsibilities that men and women of different abilities and different strengths could fulfill within selective service if we needed it.
When do we get Radical Coder on middle ground?
Drafted.
Gotta like, share, and subscribe.
Would be going
we'll get there eventually.
Would be physically going and doing.
We've got a long way to go right now.
Draftees in Vietnam didn't go see combat. They did supportive roles.
Okay.
It's selective service, so you register to be potentially needed to call for multiple different responsibilities.
But some of them are gone.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Some of them, there was some bad cases.
The part that I would disagree with would be putting women on the front lines. We are physically capable to do a lot. There's different boundaries for women who go into the military, who have to do boot camp, than there are for men. We can work women as hard as they can, but they're not going to work as hard as men are.
I actually got accepted into the Air Force, which would have been very nice because I would have had a little desk job. But unfortunately, I was waiting for a job, so I went into Army. So I went through boot camp, and it was hell, and it really messed my back up even more than it already was. Our rationale skills and our logical thinking is not conducive to be able to be on the front ground.
Speak for yourself.
To be able to make, oh my gosh, if I step here, this is going to blow up. Can I, we just think too emotionally. And that's why when we talked about leadership, it's the same thing. Being in those positions where split-second decision could make or break, I don't think women have it in them to do that. And I don't think it's fair to men. to be. I wouldn't, if I was a man, I wouldn't want to be next to a woman and want to be carried out if I needed to be, if my life was depending on it.
I think it seems like a lot of the same discussions keep happening with these prompts, which is back and forth of how much is it nature, how much is it nurture, how much are there like intrinsic biological differences between men and women, and how much does that dictate our behavior and our physiology, our biology, versus how much of that is through social learning. So how much it's our culture in terms of,
Societal,
let's say, like
programming
on a scale of 1 to 10, how high is your sex drive?
Very high. I'm a sex coach.
I'm not asking you
I
personally.
thought you were. I'm like, I'm a sex coach, so sorry.
If you ask
funny.
everyone
that's
that,
kind of a wholesome moment.
You'll see on average,
despite all this,
differences between men and women. And because of that, I don't think we should dictate whether or not someone is drafted into the military. Because ultimately, I think individuals should have the freedom to make certain choices.
It's a draft, though.
yeah, that's kind of the problem.
So
It's a really hard one.
And
like,
you're saying you don't think people should be treated differently because there can be
Exactly.
metrics
It's
that fall outside
differential
of the
treatment.
data.
That's
Of
what I'm
course,
getting
yeah, so there is differential treatment, but I would say that it's completely reasonable to do that because not only are we focusing on the differential treatment, but we're focusing on outcome. So if I'm expecting somebody to go into combat, which is the reason I didn't walk forward, you should also expect that person on an individual basis to be able to meet the exact same standard as every other man that they are going to be fighting with.
So the military has made a change on that, by the way.
Yes,
they
they
have
have.
a new individual test that's based on what jobs you're going to do. If you're doing more combat roles, yes, you have to be stronger and tougher, and there are women meeting those standards. That's why things are changing, and like I said, I'm not for the draft at all, really. I think it's a really bad thing, but if it was to happen, like, it should be across all boards, everybody gets treated equal.
If I could choose
yeah, I think I kind of
the possibility of women being drafted or not, I would choose that they're not. Well, I don't want my
anyone.
I'll have to think more about the draft one.
I think if you draft, at least account for the differences, please.
Sure.
Female sex workers should be more respected.
Yes.
I don't know a ton about this topic, but I do think I subscribe to the idea that legitimizing sex work reduces the safety risks associated with that profession. It's a very old profession. It's been around for a while.
It's going to continue to be around.
I don't. You know, I think it's also, there's tools out there like OnlyFans that I think has put a lot of the power in the hands of the creators.
Coder and Monk mog everyone last night. I did not mog last night, Phantom, but I appreciate it.
Social situations, and if it's a black market, most people
And don't no Monk was super cringe last night also.
There was no other fucking reason. And I'm not saying it would get rid of exploitation, but if women have legal protections, like if I was a prostitute and I could go up to a cop and say, hey, I got beat up and my money stolen, not being worried about being arrested, like I would be more likely to report crimes and get the people who are causing problems.
Yeah, and then for the people who just want to do it and want to just like own their sexuality, own their body, and use it as a commodity, a way to make money, they should be able to do that in a way that is safe.
I think like step one with the sex work stuff is decriminalization. One of the things that I worry about is like people who are being trafficked, like can also be like treated like criminals, which is probably like really bad because like why would they, or like what ability do they have to go seek help if when they do go seek help they are like literally arrested and charged for being trafficked basically. Which it's a little more complicated than that, but that seems to be like step one is like decriminalization, and then from there we can like there's other things that can be done, but I think that's got to be the first thing. Like it has to be decriminalization rather than just across the board legalization. I think I heard like Lav once argue that like just legalize for sex workers, but not for quote unquote Johns or whatever. Which again I at least initially I kind of agree with, but I don't know.
In a way that they own all of the videos, all of the content that they make, and in a way that is equitable for them.
When it comes to respect, there's two definitions. Respect either can mean like politeness, like you wouldn't shut the door on somebody that's like walking behind you, like be respectful. The other respect is usually if you do something that in the workplace that garners approval, you've completed a goal. So when we talk about respect when it comes to sex workers, should we be polite to them? Probably. That would be a human thing to do. I don't have to, but yeah.
Okay.
I prefer OnlyFans over the traditional
True.
Yeah, because you own it, and then it's
women
a lot
got
more
sex trafficked.
But that agency is important to know that it's what you own, and to have that respect put onto you that like this is your content you're putting out into the world.
Yeah, now it's their copyrighted material. Before, when it was the old porn industry, they didn't have rights to those videos, and that's a huge thing. Like if I want to take my stuff down, you have to go to
the
a
porn
court
industry has come a really long way.
Case.
I mean, it still obviously has a lot of really bad things, but
that was her whole thing, and luckily
it has improved pretty drastically over the last decade.
But unfortunately that's not the rule. That's the exception. Where she's been able to be
it's
successful.
a role model.
Right off the bat, you said Mia Khalifa went from being a porn star to being a sports commentator. That is something that we should be directing women towards. It shouldn't be, okay, well, you know, she's going to go do an OnlyFans, or she's going to be in 50 porn videos to get paid. When we're encouraging women to go out of their way to sell their bodies on the internet because that's a means to an end, we're not doing that the right way, and I don't think the feminist movement should be moving in the direction of normalizing sex work.
I don't have a problem with like normalizing sex work. My bigger problem, the thing I worry about with OnlyFans is like, I mean, I guess the same thing I kind of worry about with a lot of jobs that I think are exploitative or could be exploitative, which is like if somebody wouldn't work a specific job if they weren't like completely desperate for money, and then they do it because they're desperate for money, then I think that's bad, whether it's OnlyFans or whatever. But I think there are also like particular like unique things that come with like things like OnlyFans that probably are not as prominent in other kinds of work. So like it is not like the same thing, but it's the bigger problem at the end of the day from my perspective is like the element of desperation rather than like the job itself. But yeah,
we should be encouraging women to value themselves, value their body, value their talent, and take that elsewhere.
There's a lot of things in place though for women. Like, yeah, there's obviously a need if they're in maybe a lower...
The idea that, like, OnlyFans girls don't value their bodies is fucking crazy.
That's more of, like, a morality topic, you know? And so you can't really force that on everybody. I agree with you.
Right.
Sorry. There's actual cases of that. Trafficking victims getting charged with prostitution. Yeah, exactly. That's what I worry about. Yeah, I agree, Grumpy Gen X. That's kind of my dilemma about that argument. I think that's why I specify there are like particular things like but a lot of the particular issues are like societal. Like if you're desperate and you go work at McDonald's, then there are different problems that come with, like even if you want to do even if you like are not desperate and you do OnlyFans, there are still like issues that you're going to face, like because people have a certain perspective of it. People are gonna like probably gonna download and share those pictures whether or not they signed up for it. People are gonna have those pictures probably forever, and like if you're like you're gonna have to deal with that regardless of whether you wanted to do it or not. But McDonald's, like you're not, like the issues that come with someone like having a picture of you in a McDonald's uniform are very different, and the consequences of that are going to be different. But there are things like that I think are it's a unique situation, or at least like unique in terms of other industries. But I still think that the bigger problem is the desperation at the end of the day. It's so hot today, 80 degrees in my city. It was pretty hot. I mean, it was actually pretty rainy here today, but it's usually pretty hot because I live in Florida. It's always hot here. You have to live with the experience of having worked at McDonald's forever. Yeah, but there's not a lot of social consequences for having worked at McDonald's. That's more what I'm referring to. I'm not talking about like anything like ethereal. I'm talking about like specific ways that people might engage with someone who worked on OnlyFans or something. Which is a bigger problem again, but it is more unique to porn.
The other thing would be is that women are not happy when they're doing this. It's not empowering as a woman. You can go on Twitter and see these women who are in their 30s with an OnlyFans link in their bio, but with no kids, no husband, no specific thing to actually
You don't know
care
anything
It's all
about those women,
materialistic things.
except for
These are
that,
the
like
same
the things
women
you
that
listed.
you're seeing tweeting about how sad
You don't know, they don't have
They're
any
tweeting
things they
about-
value. That's crazy.
It's not generalized. It's the majority of those women. They are on
You're good, Grumpy
antidepressants.
Gen
I'd like
X.
to speak because I've actually been in the industry. So I was trafficked for a decade. You hit the nail. That's okay.
It's horrifying.
You hit the nail on the head. I came from a very poor socioeconomic background. I was a product of the state. And so I speak from experience when I say it's not empowering, it's not glorifying, it's not owning your body.
Well, it definitely
None of
wasn't
that
for
stuff
you.
is
You were
true.
being trafficked,
No
but
little
like not
girl,
everyone
when
who's
they're
on there is
4 or
being
5
trafficked.
says, I want to grow up and be a hooker. OnlyFans is the biggest pimp of them all. They're still taking 20%, and your content still gets leaked a lot.
I agree. I'm not in favor of any kind of exploitation. I also am uncomfortable by the idea of like women I know if they were in that industry. Like I admit, like it makes me feel uncomfortable. My gut instinct.
So you have a daughter. I'm going to be having a daughter in 4 months.
Let's just go back to the daughter.
So, well, I mean, it's a good question because you're raising a human being.
Yeah, Grumpy Gen X, she did. But she can't like extrapolate that to like everybody's experience with the industry. Like it's just not the same. Like and in fact that like I would say like painting with such a broad brush and saying that like her experience speaks for like everyone else's is it almost like undervalues like the horror and the distinction and the not uniqueness but uniqueness compared to people who weren't being like trafficked. It's very different. Is she saying there's a bunch of single OnlyFans models needing men? I guess so. Women without children equals sad. Sometimes not. A lot of women just don't want to have kids. And that's chill too. Escorting is actually easier to keep on the download than being an OnlyFans model. I believe that. Yeah, because I guess OnlyFans you have to focus on like growing your platform. Like it's like running a YouTube channel. You know, you want a lot of people to watch you. You want a lot of people to click. You have to do a lot of advertising, networking, sales funnels. Gets cold in my city, but I'm a swimmer. I love to swim. I go swimming at night in the dead of winter. Okay, that's cool. I like swimming a lot too. I've always been a big swimmer. I used to have really bad sciatica, and it was swimming the first time that it really hit me. It was swimming that helped me out. Later on, when it hit me again, I had a herniated disc. I learned a lot more about like stretches and how to sit and treat my back better. But swimming was the initial way that I was saved.
For the future of society that we're going to all shape. How does it make you feel to raise a daughter in a world where you can either preserve, you can either preserve her innocence, or you can step away and let her do the OnlyFans.
How about respect femininity?
It's a great question, and there's two truths that I feel like I can hold at the same time. Mm-hmm. One is I would be very uncomfortable if any female relative or person that I loved was exploring that profession. Like I would have.
You can't even say it.
I'm trying to be as like professional.
Let him
as I can.
speak.
Yeah, as a father specific.
Stop talking over him.
No. I don't think that I'd fail. I would have complex feelings to navigate.
Yeah.
On a higher level, I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with that profession, and I respect people who do it in a way that's fulfilling to them and that brings them happiness.
True.
If someone's doing that job and it doesn't bring them joy, obviously I would not.
But most of the
But
women
you have to
are
understand
doing it.
it's
Escorting
not
still
bringing
prostitutes,
value
just
or
difference in
happiness
pay.
to women.
I'm just trying not to wrap it all into one bundle because there's going to be exceptions. I think you just want to be careful of like, being a negative label over like so many people's lives.
I think should be negative though, so that young daughters don't run to her. And why don't we have more respect
them
for
enough
femininity
to love them,
versus
to direct them in a
respect for
different
sex work?
Also good to see you, Q2. How you doing, buddy? She does need to learn panel etiquette. I agree, Yasmin.
I think it should be choice.
That guy's so jacked.
Well, male birth control does exist. The problem is there hasn't been a lot of funding into making it like commercially available. It's about making it an equal responsibility.
Cold weather mugs.
Especially if there's a more effective way, like a pill. They can't just whine about the side effects when they know that it can significantly decrease a woman's quality of life when she's dealing with all this.
Her chance of fertility, her chances of, I've never been on birth control, and I don't believe in taking it. I don't believe in putting anything that alters my body. I'm not saying either party should have it, because personally I don't think that anyone should put that stuff in their body, but if one's gonna do it, and then the other one should have the option of doing it.
Yeah, if we're in a world where women have the access to it and men have the access to it, should is just such a strong word.
So
Make the choice for your own body. That's why I didn't walk forward. But yeah, if you both have the option.
If men had the right to birth control, then they would ultimately
yeah, Alex. Yeah, QT is my only black friend, so true.
Should come to life. Right now, women ultimately have that decision. No matter what you say, she gets to decide if she goes through with it or not. And
that's
I think
why I keep them around.
Problematic for many reasons, but yeah.
It goes back to like why I stepped forward with the military draft. Yeah. Everyone needs to take responsibility for people's sexual and reproductive.
Only friend should be left.
But are you saying that because you know that women would want a guy to take birth control? Like that's more of like you want to please the feminists?
Please myself because I'm a feminist.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like male feminists have a tendency to have the talking points, and they're like, women want us to take the birth control, so I guess we will. But like, do you actually think that you would?
Why
I think I would.
Why don't you get a vasectomy?
I did.
Did you?
Oh.
I have a vasectomy.
I guess maybe I wouldn't because I haven't gotten a vasectomy, but I'm open to it. You know.
I decided to get a vasectomy because I wanted to play a small, very small part in having men take more responsibility for their sexual and reproductive health.
Fair
and
enough.
Once I learned more about vasectomies and the procedure, it seemed like a no-brainer for me to get it. I've known for a few years that I didn't want children.
It's pretty reasonable.
So I've been thinking about getting a vasectomy. And
he gets me into white clubs, transactional relationship, exactly.
And I started doing more research on it. And
I use my white privilege to elevate him.
No side effects. It's an outpatient procedure, so you go in 20 minutes, you're out. I went to work the next day. You should not take it if you have any inkling of a doubt about not wanting biological children, because it's not 100% reversible.
But in some cases they do it, yeah.
Right. It's preposterous to me that
I actually don't know much
about
about the
5 to 6%
vasectomies,
of men
but
in the U.S. have a vasectomy, because definitely more than 5 to 6% of men in the U.S. don't want to have children.
Kids. That's true.
Yeah,
it's like condom,
with hormones. I know why.
Vasectomy. There is no there's no middle ground between the two, and I think it's because of patriarchy. I know you hate me using that word, but like I think it's because we prioritize.
Gynocentrism, that's why. Listen, we have advanced so much. You don't think they could come up with a pill?
They could.
At this point, think about it.
Ideally, but they haven't.
It's just commercial. There's not a market for it.
Gynocentrism is like a.
Okay, I want to hear from the disagreeers.
One thing that I do agree with is the fact that birth control has a lot of side effects. And if I'm not going to take that, and a lot of people aren't going to take that and have the side effects, then I don't think men should have to either. I think we live in an over-sexualized society where we're trying to, find ways to solve this issue because you cannot stop everybody from doing it.
Vasectomies aren't that bad compared to female birth control.
And protect yourself.
I believe that.
And not go around and sleep with everybody.
But that is
There's
very small group of people that believe that, mostly in the faith-based communities. But as far
that's your right to be able to do that and make that decision, and you know, totally.
I just don't think it's ever going to get.
I don't think it should be like imposed on everybody type of a thing.
I'm not for male birth control by force. If somebody wants to take that, yes, but I think there needs to be more comprehensive research and stuff. Female birth control is a little sketchy at times because there have been incidences where they had to recall stuff because they kind of I think one of them was like
there's issues with birth control
because it was causing like blood clots or something.
That's very
most
common.
Birth controls cause.
And
can
I
cause
hope we get to a place where we're not using things where hormones, because the other thing is a lot of people don't get blood tests to check their hormones on a regular basis. And actually, technically, birth control, female birth control, is an oral steroid.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's actually a 19 nor, and like people are taking steroids.
I think we're going to find out decades from now how harmful this actually is, probably for both sexes.
And like
unfortunately, like the pharmaceutical industry is so based on profit that like if they think men aren't going to take male birth control, they're not going to put in the research, they're not going to create it, they're not going to invest in it. So
I don't know what
the say, hey,
I think
like, this is a
it's just also
responsibility men
different.
should also have. Then we can get research into all birth control to make it safer and more effective for everyone, so that we don't not everyone has to be like experiencing these horrible side effects.
True.
Being a mother is the most valuable thing a woman can do.
You are a mother. I am almost, I am a mother, but she'll be born later. When you choose to have a kid, you're putting aside not necessarily what you want to do in the future, because I believe that women have every opportunity to still pursue what they want to do, even becoming a mother. It's very fulfilling in a sense to be that selfless, to bring a human being into the world
and give everything to them and watch them grow up and become their own person, and to feel that love unconditionally that something materialistic will never give you.
Yeah. I honestly don't remember my life before my son. And it really makes me sad today that more women, 10 years, more women in the United States will be opting out of marriage, out of children. That just is insane to me. It's innately in us to nurture and to love and to care and to create life. We literally give birth. It's an ability, a gift, and it's also, too much is given, much is required. It's a massive responsibility to raise a child, knowing that, as someone said earlier, your children are going to be the future of our planet.
Those are true things.
I want to hear more from the disagreeers.
We're running the moms through the dirt. That's what I heard.
I think it's going to be the most valuable thing that I do in life, to have children and create a family. It's just such a subjective thing, and there's so many things that people contribute to the world. And for
this woman's not anti-feminist. I don't buy it.
Sitting on the deathbed, they probably will think the most powerful and valuable thing they've ever done is to create.
She's been like almost nothing but reasonable, like with very few exceptions.
Two things that you can leave on this earth when you die is art
and
like
children. Not in lockstep with any of the other quote-unquote anti-feminists.
That way. I just don't want to subscribe value to somebody who doesn't see that as.
Yeah, I understand.
Or somebody who can't have kids or just chooses not to.
Right.
You know, there's other ways to achieve greatness. But being a mom is great.
Yeah, that's true, Yasmin.
Being a good mom.
Being a good mom, yes.
Being a good mom. There's a lot of people who are moms, not everybody's a good mom.
I was raised by a single mom. On top of that, I was also adopted. So my birth mother had to make an incredibly difficult choice to decide not to pursue raising this child. And then my mother, who is a single mom, raised me and raised my siblings. The thing is she was also like a teacher and a professor and a principal and an administrator. Honestly, what feminism really should be about and is about is making it so that women, if they choose to be a mother and just do that for their entire life, they get as much respect and value and everything that they should be afforded as someone who decides to be a billionaire CEO as a woman.
The feminist movement is teaching women that it's the worst thing you could possibly do because you're gonna lose your money and you're gonna.
I disagree, and I think sometimes some people live in echo chambers, and that might be a problem. But like, also, here's the other thing: are women not having children because it's economically difficult? Because in America, it's really hard to have a kid. It's really expensive. We don't have health care. We don't.
You're fine, but not everyone.
I know, but I'm saying that what the act of having a kid takes. Two people.
Yes, but me and my girlfriend, we could probably afford a kid, but right now it's probably not good because of our
you're making that decision.
But here's the other thing: not everybody has that decision to make, and it's actually economically really hard to have a kid in this country. Somebody's gonna have to stop working. Somebody's gonna have to make less money. There's not health care.
When I had my son, I had no means. I had been trafficked. Obviously, I made the decision to see it as life and to have the child, and I had the child. And I was homeless in Newport Beach 8 years ago. When my son was just still nursing, 10 months old. Worked around the clock and didn't stop until he was almost 5 years old, until I got my degree. Well, free credits.
I'm gonna have kids eventually.
And the county pays for it. That's why I'm trying to say we do have resources. I was a full-time student,
but that's
and because
Newport Beach. Like that's not everywhere.
California is one of the more
dissect every county and see which counties offer it.
California is one of the more exceptional.
So I do think there's resources if you look for them, and I don't think that just saying, oh, it's expensive to have a kid. Like,
woe is me, I can't have a kid because I'm too poor. No.
Jesus, what is wrong with these people, dude? Woe is me, I'm too poor to have a kid. Blah blah blah. What the fuck, dude? Like, that's a wild thing to say. Like, just do it. Just have economically disadvantaged kids and let them be miserable. Just do it. Just suck it up and do it. It's like, yeah, if you want to, but also, like, wouldn't more people do it? Don't you think more people would do it if we, like, resolve some of those issues? Everyone wants a family. I'm not saying. Oh wait, the debate is about the word most. This implies motherhood is the most aspiration, and any other aspiration is less. Even mothers don't want to be just mothers. And they usually aren't just mothers. They're also friends and they're partners. And most of the time they have jobs and they're careers that are fulfilling to them. Like, I don't think I don't think that that's like the end all. It might be like the most important thing to them, reasonably so, because they love their kids. And like for a father, similarly, like they're gonna put their, like, ideally they're gonna put their children and their family like above as much as they can. But like, okay, everybody involved is still wants to be their own person as well and have their own like there are other things that they do. Like, I don't know.
We live in a country where, like I said earlier, we have the opportunities to pursue what we can and what we want to do. And I don't think the feminist movement has any place to tell someone that they're too dumb or too poor to be able to have a kid.
Oh, absolutely.
Nobody's saying that. No. What we're saying is that there are people who are saying that. There are people who are thinking that. There are people who are poor and they're like, wow, this sucks. I don't know if I can have kids. I would like to, but I can't afford it. There are also people who are poor and they're having kids and they're fucked for it. And like, they need more resources. It's kind of begging the question that women exist to make babies. Is there function and purpose? It is a function. You can make your own purpose. It is a function for sure. Not everyone wants to have kids, but I mean, I get what you're saying. Like that, like they, like obviously, like women are the only, or like cis women are the only ones capable of like growing children inside them, you know.
Absolutely not.
But that is what the feminist movement is doing.
I agree. Yeah, maybe it's not as cool or fashionable to become a parent. Maybe like that's not, what people are valuing. Feminism to me, and I think to the other guys here, is just like viewing the sexes equally and feeling like they should have equal opportunity. I don't think it expands much beyond that. No one here is saying
generally, I agree,
it's not cool to be a mom, or women shouldn't aspire to be a mom if that's going to be fulfilling to them. If that's like your path, by all means, I think you should do it. My wife was very specific and like direct with me when we started dating. She's like, I want to have kids. This is important.
Once my babies, you can get on welfare. Oh,
and that was a goal.
Oh, an EBT.
For ourselves. But she's not just a mom.
Nobody wants to be on welfare and EBT. Nobody wants that, you know.
You know, there's other things. She has other ambitions. And she can do both of those things, and I think we all feel that that's possible. So when I hear you say, you know, like feminism is saying that like moms can't do this or don't be a mom, I'm not sharing that experience of that information.
We don't shame motherhood. Like our side, we promote it a lot of the times, but whenever you hear the opposite thing, it's usually from the feminists.
Mm-hmm. Men need to be masculine to keep their families safe.
Of course he's going to step forward. Look at him. I think there's a reason why people love Andrew Tate. And whatever you think about him regards to what he's being accused of, which he has not been proven, but that's neither here nor there, men gravitated toward that. Why?
It's kind of what it sounds like, Grumpy.
He spoke to men in a sense of being a man, being a protector, and you have to be in charge of all your faculties and think more critically. So those aspects of masculinity appealed to men because men want to innately protect. If I go on a date and you take me out on a date and he's like, no, I wouldn't, but that's okay. And you take me to a dinner and you don't sit facing the door, I'm never going out on another date with you. It's not like we're helpless, like I can't do anything.
That's interesting. I actually do that. I actually do sit facing, but not because I just started doing it because like my dad did it when I was growing up. But that's interesting. That she like wouldn't go on a date with someone who doesn't do that.
Protect you and your family. And
looks like I'm in, boys.
Masculinity is very important.
There are situations like, for example, like 230 pounds. My girlfriend's like 110, 5'2". Like, there's no way if somebody breaks in a house that she's gonna fight them off, unless she's a gun or something. But so in that situation, I would fill that masculine role. But like anybody can be strong. Anybody, like in a situation where I'm not there.
True, Q2.
If we had kids, she could protect them and defend them like the best she could. Where I get the issue with like, oh, men need to be masculine. It's like, oh, men need to always go work and bring the money and all this stuff. Because my girlfriend, she's highly educated. She actually makes way more money than I do, like way more. I work as a personal trainer. I don't make as much as she does. It is traditionally not very masculine for a woman to make more money than a man. And I know some people, they will be like, oh, you're not a real man if your woman makes more money than you. That's
You're right, Grumpy Gen X. When he said it, I was like, nice, good for you, dude. That's funny. But also, I mean, like he's right about this for sure.
Pathetic. Why is she with you? You sound like a loser. Things like that. And I don't let that define my masculinity. I used to be insecure about it, but now I've grown more mature, and I feel like we're getting this.
What a based guy.
Less of a problem. And like some people might disagree with this, and like, but it's just my opinion. I think to raise a son, it's easier if you're a man. It doesn't have to be a father. It could be an uncle or some positive role model. Same thing with a positive female, because like I don't know what it's like to be like a female going through puberty, but I was a young man. Right now, a lot of our young men are.
Yasmin, I don't think self-hate is the reason for those things. I don't know that I would frame it that way. There are plenty of black men. I don't know. But just definitely to what Yasmin's saying. I agree. I think that there are much bigger problems. I mean, like there might be some like some degree of self-hatred, but a lot of that comes down to like the same reasons that the crime stuff is so high. It's like a history of it's literally like a history of white supremacy that like forced people into bad conditions. Definitely didn't expect these opinions out of this guy. It's a nice surprise. You really feel like destiny now with a black man and black woman arguing in your community? Here we go. It's my my christening. Don't die from natural causes. The majority of them, but like that's not because of self-hate. Like like there are much bigger problems at play.
Misguided a lot.
Not that like self-hatred is a big problem.
A lot of these young men get this testosterone boost. Their brains aren't fully developed, and they like the vast majority of crimes are committed by 16 to 23-year-olds.
True.
The reason I walk forward is about exactly what you just said. Men have these feelings and this aggression often deep inside them, and it's about using that aggression or those feelings that you have to protect rather than to inflict.
Sure.
I guess I'm just not entirely sure what, like, just masculinity in general has to do with keeping people safe.
Could I quickly respond? In that I just think it's that men have that natural propensity towards it. If I think of roles in society that are protectors, we could say police officers, anybody who's going to take on that role of physical aggression in order to stop a bad situation.
Hey, women can be bad cops just as well as men can be bad cops. Wait, let's see. I just wouldn't describe it as that. Like I think I kind of understand what you're saying, but like if they like the hatred that you're talking about, like the hatred that people might feel as much as they do of all these things, it's not like it's a result of like bigger things, right? But I don't think that's like the like if black men to whatever degree they hate their hair or their skin color, it's because of like outside forces that are like the way that the outside world might interact with those things. But yeah, also Q2 is right. Like black people do date black people if they live around black people. Like people date people around them for sure. True, Grumpy.
Situation from happening. Men tend to take those roles, and if you just look at the demographics of those roles in particular, men choose to take that on and they persevere and drive for it.
Let's say I get married to a guy and he wants to be a stay-at-home dad. That's fine. I enjoy working.
Wow,
so
you're feminist based.
Totally opposed to me.
You go queen, progressive queen over here.
And being the one to kill somebody if my husband's normally like the one protecting the kids, I guess.
Like sorry. It definitely has a lot to do with systemic racism. You don't have to agree, but I mean it definitely has a lot to do with that. I mean, yes, everyone went through oppression, and lots of different people went through slavery, but I'm not even like slavery is like not even the main driver that I'm thinking about. It's more like the like what's gone on in the time since then, you know, and also what hasn't gone on, and like I think there's just much bigger like I think to reduce it down to just like self-hate or whatever is a really like it's kind of vacuous, and it really doesn't get at like the root of the problem. She just said she's willing to shoot the intruder if she has to. Yeah, based, right? Good for her. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of women who are probably much better at shooting than I am, and I'd probably rather have them if I was in a situation like that. Although I'd like to be more comfortable, but.
I don't think it necessarily matters who's protecting the family, just somebody must.
I like what you said about intuition, though. Like, my wife has a lot of intuition. I think she's better than me at like helping us avoid unsafe situations.
But to physically combat a stranger that's at your door with a gun, a mask on, and is breaking in.
Yeah, it's convenient to have someone who's more like him.
But would you send your
I want to
wife-
hire that guy to protect my house, right?
But I just don't think men...
to use her intuitive powers to handle that, to protect, or would you use your masculine? My daughter's protected. I'm going down.
If we get attacked, I'm going to do everything I can to protect my family. That's not men having to be masculine. I just think that's people protecting those they love.
I agree.
When women are put in situations where they have to protect their families, they can exert tremendous force. Obviously,
it's like the mama bear meme, you know.
Not typically like as strong on average.
I'm full of testosterone, right?
But I just don't. I don't think like this is something men have to do. I think you gotta be careful about putting pressure on men to embody some sort of like macho, tough, violent.
I don't think it's macho.
I've had men in my life.
It's intersectional, Yasmin, or it's true that like systemic racism impacts like black men and black women in different ways, you know.
Who like embody that tough role, and it like creates uncomfortable environments. It sometimes invites aggression, danger to the situation. It's a certain role playing that I think men actually, it's beneficial to grow out of.
Why do you think
Q2's right about that as well.
It's innately in them.
Well, then I think they should go to therapy and work on it, or like play a sport and get out that aggression.
So I understand.
Aggression isn't bad.
I always hear from other male feminists like, oh, that guy's trying to be a macho guy. Why?
Okay, so here's the thing. I think sometimes it's not genuine. He's playing a character. Actually, I'm usually the one to de-escalate situations because of how I look and how I'm presented. So I de-escalate. And actually, I always tell people I always encourage young men, avoid the fight.
True.
If you can avoid it, stay away. But if you have to, obviously do what you have to do, like survive. And I would say
this guy's like the ultimate Giga Chad.
Heart and actually try to deter, get away, because violence should be always the last resort.
You can call it excuses, Yasmin, but it's like these issues are obviously like much bigger than like the individual choices of like black men. You know, like we can't, like you say, take accountability and stop worrying, blah blah blah. Like you can, this is all fine and good to say, but like I don't know like how any of that like really gets to the heart of the issues. Like it's not bad advice for like individuals, but like it's bad advice when you're talking about like a group of people, you know. I don't agree that black men like don't take care of their children, but if there are the disparities we do see there, like again there are like, when we're talking about these like demographic statistics, like there are things that impact different demographics differently and like cause different issues. Like I mean, like if we're talking about the group of people, then there are these issues. When we're looking at an individual, like then it's fine, you know, say you know, the individual responsibility, whatever, you got to do the best you can with the hand you're given, blah blah. I totally agree. But like if we're talking about like at a like from the top down, like we're looking at and these disparities and stuff, like I don't think it's meaningful to be like just make better choices, you know.
Violence only brings more violence.
The differences between men and women should be celebrated.
That's an interesting question.
I'm talking about poles of energy. We have polarity in everything in the universe. From the battery, you can't put two negatives into a battery and it work. You can't.
I think I agree with that statement. I agree, Yasmin, but like that doesn't mean the conditions impact them in the same way, right? Like it doesn't mean that they're the same. The system. Yeah, like there are different gendered expectations and things that impact men and women differently, and there's also like social pressures that encourage people in different directions. I want to take care of kids. I also think that there is a lot of truth to that one, but the fucking things I come back to after lurking, true.
put two positives has to go flop. So there's poles day and night, everything, yin yang, it's energy, and we are energy.
I don't think everything's polar though.
It is though.
Why apply one
I was
lens?
right. I was gonna say, like, in terms of the differences between men and women being celebrated, like, sure, cool. I like pretty girls. I do. I like feminine energy. I love it. More like it, as long as people want to embrace that, and plenty of women do, then they're like, I'm cool with it. You know, like good. But like we shouldn't reject people who don't want to embrace that, right? Like that's the other problem, or that's the bigger problem on the other side of the coin. I don't know if that stereotype like comes specifically from black men. I think that is like that's a bigger like I hear that from a lot of people who are not black. You know, I see that kind of racism, like that like racist and misogynistic view of black women in that way. Like I think it doesn't just come from inside the black community. I think it's broader. Supporting his percentage to pay their child support is more directly correlated to income. Yeah, makes sense, right?
Well, you just stepped forward with the prompt that said that masculine men and women's differences should be celebrated.
I want to celebrate the difference between men and women, but I feel like you have this tendency to apply sometimes like these quantum or
because
like
it is because we live in a quantum universe of masculine and feminine energy.
But you guys do the same thing too, though.
I think he's just saying to celebrate differences doesn't mean we exist on two opposite poles, and that's
I'm willing to hear about. I'm willing to listen to people.
There's things exist in nature that are triangles or triads.
Like Michelle Obama, for example, was like constantly being like accused, especially from like basically from like white like conservatives of being like a trans man because she was like looked masculine, quote unquote, and stuff like and that's like a broader problem. I'm familiar with Cynthia G vaguely. I've heard a lot of bad things, but I think there's probably some it's probably like not quite as bad as a lot of people outline it to be. Yeah.
It's like not everything's yin and yang, you know.
But it kind of is. I actually believe that the masculine energy is elevated in a sense that they have more responsibility as protector, provider, and so for women, we like lean to them and we look up to them as the leader. So not to say that they're not equal, but there's a little bit more responsibility in the masculine field. And without those outlines of structure, then we have chaos and we don't have a society. We have no more children because women aren't having children anymore.
I don't think I fear chaos.
We have no more children. We have no children. There's just no kids. You look around, you go to the park, not a kid. No one's on the slides, no one's on the monkey bars. There's no more kids. I agree with that as well, Yasmin. The black community is not the same as other communities, but again, like there are reasons for that. I think there's more agreement here than you know.
You threw in a lot.
There's more common ground here to be found.
You do see women as
middle ground, as it were.
I don't see them as the same level.
I would encourage you, like, from a loving place, to just maybe challenge that. Like, how might your
This is not going well for him.
Experience change if you saw yourself?
I think women are 4 quarters, a guy is $1. I think they're equal, they're just not the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that the prompt and what I really took to is that it's so important for you.
I agree. Men and women are not, like, men are not men, or men are not women and women are not men. Here, cool.
You guys to celebrate your femininity and celebrate what it means to be a woman for you, and we will joyfully celebrate that with you, right? And likewise to us. However we want to express our masculinity, that should be celebrated, right?
And, and whichever way you had to do it, and like, you know, like I said, I don't think it's as rigid as like we want.
Oh, that's not good, Zirin. That's right, I heard you mention that.
Society, well, like some people want us to think it is, but it should be celebrated because there are innate differences that are like just biological, and there's going to be those differences, and you know, there shouldn't be anything frowning upon it. Like you know, women being like more softer, emotional. It shouldn't be something frowned upon. But if a man chooses to be that, that shouldn't be like, that's feminine, that's not masculine. That's, you know, we should celebrate those qualities in people.
Yes. This was my whole when I debated when I teamed up with Lav and we debated against Andrew and Rachel Wilson. Like my whole like spiel at the beginning was that like the expectations around masculinity and femininity are evolving, and that it's good that more people are able to express traits that are traditionally associated with one or the other and not be like treated badly for it, or not be like yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. I get the meme now. I gotcha. My bad. Yeah, because there's no kids to teach.
Men are more enslaved than ever before.
Oh. This is a tough one, huh?
I agree with most of what everyone said. It's just the should. I agree that differences between men and women can be celebrated, and I celebrate it. I think most people do to some extent. Do as you please. Yeah.
I feel like it's important to celebrate it because I know for me, with gender dysphoria, I really enjoyed, you know, emulating and having masculine traits and being a man. So being able to celebrate that and say, all right.
Yeah, being able to embrace his gender euphoria, right? Like this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot very much, or that I don't hear talked a lot about it when people are online having like debates about trans people and stuff. There's a lot of conversation about like dysphoria, but not so much about euphoria and like the positive experiences that like that people feel from like presenting as the gender they identify with, right? Did Big Papa Fascist just laugh at that and light a cigarette? I assume that's his retort. Mostly, yeah, pretty much.
All right, fantastic. I can celebrate that this is a different thing than what my sex assigned at birth would tend to go for, but celebrating both sides of those things and the dichotomy that may be different is really essential to allowing anyone to really just express themselves the way they want to.
Thank you guys. You guys were
Wholesome and true.
Thank you.
Very good sports.
Yeah, I wish we could do
yeah,
like
you guys
5
did
more
great.
prompts.
Yeah, right.
That was actually that was a pretty good one.